welcome back. And in this video, I just wanted to get something off my chest because I believe in honesty, and also I want to explain something about myself, and so you can understand me better, because you may not know much or guess much from my reaction videos what my attitude to information is, etc. But anyway, I digress. Now, as you know, of a lot of my videos on, say, science, history, etc., the thing is, what you have to understand is I only deal with facts. I have no problem with it being wrong, nor do I have something to prove. If something is nonsense, then I don't endorse it. It's that simple. Now, people, especially when it comes to, say, science, will sometimes say to me, go do the research, or if you go and do research, you'll agree with my opinion, or you'll agree with me, you'll see that I'm right. Well, if I had that much of an ego, I would be highly offended, because what these people don't realise is I do the research. In fact, what they say shows, ironically, that they have done very little or focused on one paragraph or one chapter of that subject. I look at the whole section. I look at the whole documents, the whole thing. Also demonstrates they haven't listened to me and are either mistaken, ignorant, or arrogant in their attitude towards my opinions, etc. For example, on my sex and gender videos and trans law videos, I've spent 7+ hours straight in research for each area. Every time I look into it, believe me, it drives me mad. People say to me, go look at the Endocrinology Institute, and I'll end up agreeing with their opinions, or this, that, or the other. Well, I hate to break it to you, but I started looking into the endocrinology work years ago, and also the Endocrinological Society that only deals with hormones, etc. You also have to look at neurobiology, which I've done, and believe me, I can tell you when someone hasn't researched these, and as a guess, they probably read an article, not the actual document, the peer review work, or the reports of it. There are times when I tell someone about a scientific finding and they say to me, oh, that's fascinating, I didn't know that. And I'm kind of like, but I thought you said you researched this. What I've just told you is an important piece of that research. How could you not know that, let alone not be aware of that? It's crazy. When it comes to, say, trans issues, if you believe that, puberty blockers cause chemical castration and that they have an unfair advantage in sports, then you either have an agenda, or you're lying about doing research, or you're simply a moron. Because if you've actually done the research and looked at the academic sources, then you know that both of these ideas are, excuse my language, bollocks. A trans woman has the physical performance and strength of an average woman, and vice versa. This has been demonstrated through experiments on athletes. The controversial ones, like the MMA, are oddly enough transgender athletes who aren't even or yet began HRT. They've just identified as that sex and not started the treatment. It's also bullshit, because fighting is also about technique, not size or strength. There are cis women in MMA who could beat the shit out of men in MMA. It's all about level of skill. The reason why men and women don't fight each other is it's even the same as wrestling, because with wrestling these days you can't wrestle against women because you're not allowed to hit women. You know, basically PC has entered the wrestling genre. You know, years ago China used to beat up men in WWE. However, saying that, in certain tournaments women do fight men, especially in traditional martial arts, and again it's all about skill and technique. But anyway, back to the trans. As soon as they're on HRT, they then lose all the perks of their biological sex in strength, etc. And as I've said in my video about puberty blockers, the chemicals used to castrate pedophiles is not only a completely separate drug, it's also administered through injection. You can't get it from a doctor. It has to be issued by a court of law, e.g. a judge, just like when they issue the lethal injection. The idea is the offender is given a choice. They either serve time in jail or they have the injection. If a doctor gave you this drug, albeit he won't have access to it, they would go to prison. Puberty blockers that have been prescribed to children that were originally not even trans but were suffering from complications during puberty. That's their original use. These blockers were also used on women who were having problems with menopause. Sorry, drivers. These can be in tablet form that you take at regular doses, or there's a capsule or a device that is inserted in somewhere in the arm that releases this drug. Unlike the injection that they give to pedophiles, the difference between blockers and the chemical injection is the chemical injection is on average administered directly to the source. E.g., if you're a man, they inject it straight into your testicles, which then physically kills the testicles, making them permanently inoperable. Whereas the tablets don't actually affect you physically in a physical sense. But what they do is they temporarily stop the signals from the brain that cause or triggers puberty. In essence, it puts it on hold and doesn't actually do any physical damage. If they were to come off these blockers, then the body would resume as normal. This is 100% undeniable academic fact. Deal with it. Even though I don't believe absolutes, I just want to get that clear. It's an absolute fact. As I've also said in these videos, puberty blockers are not what causes potential infertility. The potential infertility is caused by the introduction of estrogen or testosterone in the man or woman subject. However, this too is not also definite. It depends on the individual. In some cases, it may or may not cause it may or may not cause temporary or permanent infertility. But again, this is not the blockers. This is the introduction of estrogen, etc. If you're going to be a woman, estrogen and testosterone if you're going to be a man. But again, this is depending on the person. So like any other medical treatment, depending on the individual, some may have side effects, some may not. This is why transgender people are still able to have kids, and why we see transgender people have kids. If these people, right, if these people were using a drug that chemically castrates you, then it would be breaking the natural laws of physics for them to be able to get pregnant after this. you muppets. Yeah. Once you get chemically castrated, it's game over, mate. You can't have kids. But these people have kids. And also, just because a small number of people have had side effects from a vaccine doesn't mean we cancel or stop using the vaccine, does it, folks? No. So actually, before having to do any research, common sense dictates the whole rumour of, or the whole allegation that puberty blockers are a form of chemical castration is absolute bullshit. It is actually false. It's misinformation, propaganda spread by people who want to ruin trans people's lives and prevent treatments for transgender people. It's also a popular lie spread by Daily Wire. Problem now is, because they've now stopped it in 2016, they've not only ruined it for trans kids, but for kids who have problems with puberty or during puberty. Well done, folks, for doing that. And yet they have no problem giving it later to teenagers, nor have a problem giving it to women during, who have problems during menopause. That's odd, because that would, have the same effect. But anyway, also the irony is they've been prescribing this drug to kids since 1993. Like I said, they'll give it to women. They've also been giving it to women who have had complications with menopause. If this indeed made you permanently infertile or chemically castrated you, then the irony would be is that you would be looking at billions, if not millions, of people on this planet being infertile. Boom! The common sense, the whole thing blows your bloody brains, doesn't it, folks? And also, many scientists have pointed out, if you believe that doctors are intentionally doing this to their patients, then you are some mad wacko conspiracy theorist. Because no doctor would, because they would lose their job and go to jail. It'd be like me giving you some poison and saying it's good for you. You know what I mean? Anyway. Also, people argue that, of course, they'll tell you it's safe because they want to make money. There is no money in the gender therapy business. Because, in fact, in America and even in the UK, most people can't fucking afford it. Excuse my language. If you look at the price of an EpiPen in the United States for diabetes, etc., the price of these pens are extortionate. Some families have to sell their house to pay for the gender therapy. So believe me when I say they're not making enough money for it. And if they're making money from it, then they wouldn't stop it then. And like I said in my videos, they have stopped it in America, UK and Australia since 2016. So again, that's another claim. That's bullshit. Plus, if you're making money from it, of course you'd say it's safe, but they're not. Why would you stop it if it's... They ignore that it's dangerous. They want money on it. Stupid bollocks. Like I said, I don't care if I'm wrong. I don't wish to be right. I always love to be wrong because, shall I tell you why? When you're wrong, you learn something new. And the problem is, even though people may agree with what I just said in terms of learning stuff, the problem is some of these people, they don't practice what I've just said. They agree with it, but they don't practice it. I mean, to be fair, it's kind of laughable that if I had that much of an ego, I should be really peed off or insulted, because it's funny that people seem to think they know more than me and assume that I don't know anything. I must be fucking clever to invent most of the shit up, you know what I mean? I'm not that clever to make shit up, so I've obviously gone and looked up stuff, you know what I mean? Whatever. Now, people may be generally be curious to learn stuff, and I'm not saying it's not the same with any of you, or anyone in particular, but it's like when it comes to a topic or subject, I'm very passionate about it. I dedicate my whole processing power to it. Yeah, I put everything into it. That's why with certain subjects I have to be in a certain mood to talk about it. Whereas if it's important, especially those with the trans views of, in terms of views of time, and I literally dedicate the full focus of my brain on that topic, on the research for that thing, because I think it's really important. To me, it's really important anyway. But like I said, not just for the videos, I've been doing research on this sort of stuff for years. Mainly because I want to understand it. As well as other subjects, including the occult. Because I like to understand. I want to understand things. I like to understand things, learn things. I also find it funny, because with various people that I've spoken to, I may not know what they do 24/7, but I know what their lifestyle is like, because I've known them for so long. It's kind of like, I find it amusing because, I'm sorry, I can guarantee you that I've probably used more of my hours and my free time, with my free time, researching an area than they have. I don't mean that, no, I'm not nasty with it. It's just that the other people, these people I know, is that I'm not hindered like they are. I have to work out what hours to sacrifice. Do I have fun on the Xbox, or do I do reading, research, etc.? One of the longest I've spent on researching, which includes developing a video, was 11 hours straight. I wasn't happy with it. And to be fair, for many a year, and recently I've been trying to give myself, I've been trying to give myself some relaxing time on the Xbox, but I spent most of my years prioritizing knowledge over game time, for example. So, and like I said, I deal with facts. If I'm wrong, I'll happily accept the fact that I'm wrong. And also, you have to be careful in research. What you take from it is subjective, not 100% absolute. People would say, science says trans people are deluded. Neurobiologists say they're not. Well, maybe then we need more lectures explaining why they're not deluded, and explain to us, who are genuinely curious, why. We need more lectures. We need more awareness spread to people. Do I think transgender people are deluded? The short answer is no. Also, the academic scientific community say they are not. And no, that's not 1% of the scientific community. That's the majority. Actually, now I've mentioned that, this is another fact that people like to twist or distort. Because a majority of scientists are in support of transgender people and do not think they're delusional. And I think you'll find it's only a 1% of a very small number of fringe scientists, dickheads, who think that they are deluded. But that's not because of the actual scientific facts that exist. That's because this 1% of these arseholes, Sarahs, have an agenda, or it's their own personal bias or issue. But I would then say and argue we are all deluded. Because also look at your life in general. Look at situations where you are not even being you. For example, at a job, when dealing with customers or clients, you are not being yourself. You're not being you. You're putting on a professional, or acting with a professional persona. Now, I've forgotten something else I was going to add here, but yeah, I went on one there, but the main point is, like I said, I deal with facts. If something is nonsense, I will accept that it's nonsense. Am I biased? No. Despite the people in my life, some who are trans, I still look at the facts. I will also stand up for people who are being treated unjustly. What also annoys me with people's attitude to trans people is that they think it's a new phenomena. No, it's not. It only seems new to you. Were you around 5,000 years ago? No? Oh, shut up then. It's new to you because of you haven't been on this planet long, plus ignorance, and it's been a normal thing since we've lived in mud huts. It's new to you because you've only been born into this world now. And as for dictating what's natural or unnatural, how dare we dictate that? We're apes who got clever, then decided we were superior, and yet look at all the things we rely on to get by. The universe and nature just is. It doesn't need to rely on anything. It just is. The problem also is, whilst intellect is good, useful, etc., sometimes thinking outside the box is useful now and then. And people don't do that enough. So yeah, I didn't want us to go off in different directions, but it happens. But like I said, I only deal with facts, and also I believe in honesty. So if I'm doing a factual video for this channel, I want it to be honest and factual, because I like to give you the best quality, or try to give you the best quality of information. But yeah, I wanted to do this video to illustrate my stance on what I'm like with these kind of things, i.e. research, information, etc, 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 because I think people underestimate me, which trust me, I underestimate myself as it is. So anyway, I use facts. I will not stand for bullshit, and I always stick up for those who are treated unjustly. And also be careful, because I'm a good listener and I will detect bullshit very easily. So anyway, thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next video. Have a great week, and I love you all. And with that, take care, be well.